Well, to be honest with you, we were recording a lot between You and My System and Don't Disturb This Groove. I mean, we were on Beverly Hills Cop, soundtracks 1 and 2. We ended up doing the Coming to America theme song for Eddie Murphy. We produced tons of records with a lot of different groups in New York and in Europe, and it did put us on the map because it put us on the touring map. We were on tour with Marvin Gaye, we were on tour with the Gap Band, we were on tour with Kool and the Gang, Earth, Wind and Fire. We did a huge tour at that time as a result of having a big hit like that.
Okay, I remember the video that you guys did for Coming to America. It had the dance opening before the daughter come out for the hand in marriage, like, oh, say, can you see I'm coming to America.
That's
America.
Right. we shot that on the same set where they shot the movie, and worked with Paula Abdul, who was our choreographer for the video.
Okay, what was that like working with Paula Abdul, post-Laker girl, pre-American Idol?
Well, she had just finished working with Janet Jackson. You know, she was the influence that, you know, she choreographed all the Janet Jackson videos, so she was really in the mix. And, you know, it was one of my first times really living and staying in L.A., and it was a great time for me.
Now, what was it like going on tour with Marvin Gaye, Gap Band, Earth, Wind and Fire?
It was a fantastic experience. I mean, these were all idols of ours. I mean, they had a great musical history and legacy, and for us to be able to go out there and open up for them was just a fantastic experience.
Okay, now, going into the 90s, what was going on at that time with the system?
Same thing, writing a lot for a lot of different groups, recording. We had our own recording studio. We had our own production deals. You know, we created a lot of music during that time. We were doing a lot of soundtracks, producing quite a few other groups from Europe and the United States. That's pretty much what was going on. Music was changing. A lot more hip-hop was beginning to happen, a lot more rap on records, and in fact, you couldn't write a song and get it released unless you had a rap on it during that time.
Now, explain the difference musically between the U.S. and Europe, because, like, in Europe, pop is more acceptable, and dance, house, techno music is a lot more common than over here it is in the States.
Well, they're more accepting of different kinds of music. In the United States, it's much more hard to break if you're not doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. It's much more difficult. Where in Europe, they're always looking for the next thing. And a lot of times, America follows Europe in terms of music. In other words, we'll put out things that are very popular in Europe before we would actually put out those things here first. So, you know, if you want to be a success, I always say go to Europe, be a success, then they'll put you out in America.
Right, and definitely Backstreet Boys and NSYNC took that route, and then they later came back around 97, 98, and just blew up over here stateside after doing that thing over in Europe and in Canada.
Absolutely.
Now, what is your thoughts on Don't Disturb This Groove and the legacy that it's had? Because it's been sampled by Tupac, Victoria Beckham, a.k.a. Posh Spice. You know, so explain, you know what I mean, the impact that Don't Disturb This Groove has had.
Well, it's had a great impact. As I said, it was one of the first big beat ballads. It was the beginning of an age when you didn't have to have a complete orchestra or band to create music. And I think the electro synthesizer era is back. I mean, we've had a lot more covers of that song recently. Couple big ones coming out now. I don't want to give it away, but there's a lot of covers coming out of that song now. So it really has had a big impact in R&B and pop music.
Wow, definitely it has, because like I said, it's a great song. It's very electro, but it's also slow jam at the same time. Now, what was your thoughts on Zapp and the late Roger Troutman?
Oh, I mean, we loved them. Now, they were a big influence also. During the days when we were touring with Clear, we opened for Zapp a lot at that time, and their music definitely influenced what we were doing, and they were coming from the Midwest as well.
Out of, I believe they were out of Ohio?
Dayton, Ohio, I believe.
Ohio, and Roger Troutman, of course, known for using the vocoder, a.k.a. Talkbox.
Right. Absolutely.
Now, and I believe I was doing my research, I knew that Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis did a lot of work with the SOS band, and they were saying that they were one of the first to use, like, the Roland 808.
That's correct. You're absolutely right. So we were all kind of influenced by that same kind of funk electro sound that was kind of bubbling under here in the United States, and we were lucky to put something together that really made it on the radio.
Now, what was your thoughts on new wave, like Gary Newman with Cars, Devo, Whip It, basically the stuff that was getting played on MTV during the early years?
Well, love that. I mean, we toured with them. The system actually toured with Gary Newman, and we toured with what's the name of this? The Twins.
Thompson Twins.
The Thompson Twins. Yeah, we did a big tour in Europe with them, and I know and I know for a fact that Prince was influenced by it because actually Andre Simone produced not Gary Newman, but this other artist from England who was very big around that time. So we were all listening to that new wave sound, along with Madonna, artists like that. We were all very influenced by new wave sound because the new wave sound was very much a New York sound as well.
Right. And what was your thoughts on freestyle, which was basically coming out of New York? You had acts such as TKA, Lisa and the Cult Jam, Joyce Sims.
Always loved freestyle, and also the music that was under freestyle was hip-hop and electro. And in fact, my first gig on the road working with the group, I worked with the Sugar Hill Gang and Grandmaster Flash. I was like on the road with them doing their sound, so I got to be around all the music that was being made at that time.
And basically, hip-hop has a lot of electro background. Planet Rock was, of course, the bass line for Kraftwerk, Trans-Europe Express. They sampled that for Planet Rock, and a lot of records from that period, hip-hop artists been cutting.
They were also a big influence on those groups like Kraftwerk, and we were real highly influenced by that sound as well.
Right. Okay. Now, I was just puzzled by this just recently. Like, you remember the song White Horse by Laid Back?
Sure, absolutely.
I was like, when I found out that they were white, I was like, wow. Because you thought it would be some black guys singing, but then you're like, okay, White Horse, drug reference.
Yeah. Well, there were a lot of records that were, once again, coming out of Europe that were highly influential in the hip-hop scene here in the United States.
That's definitely one of them because Monifa sampled it for Touch It.
Mm-hmm.
Now, back in the 70s, of course, Studio 54.
Sure.
I heard horror stories about Studio 54, about people standing outside in the line like, okay, if you're not looking good, you're not getting in.
Well, I was kind of young for that, but I knew the same thing. And, the story I always heard was Frankie Crocker riding into Studio 54 on a white horse. That's the story I always heard.
Yeah. Frankie Crocker riding in on Hi-Ho Silver.
Yes.
Now, B Street, that scene where you guys auditioned, that was at the legendary Roxy, right?
That's correct, yeah. Actually, a lot of the film was shot at the Roxy.
Okay, now, what's the significance of the Roxy?
Well, the Roxy is where a lot of hip-hop took place. I mean, a lot of bands performed there. There were a lot of hip-hop dance battles that took place there. Legendary music spot in New York City on the scene.
The Copa.